actually did a lot to help the Armenians during the genocide. They were the first country in the whole world to recognize the genocide as a genocide, as the murder. They called it the murder of a nation. They had this one the ambassador to the Ottoman Empire. He was over there. He saw what was happening, and so he sent telegrams back to the United States telling them that Armenians were being killed by the Ottoman Empire everywhere and that they had to do something about it. So Congress, they met and they held meetings, and one foundation was established, the American Committee for Relief in the Near East, where their specific goal just then was to help Armenians from the genocide, and they donated hundreds of millions of dollars. They saved thousands of Armenians' lives. And today it still exists, just with a different name. But instead of just helping Armenians, it's designed now to help anyone in the over there in the Middle East, in the eastern part of the world who just needs help in any way. And it was also covered in the American press in dozens of journals, newspapers, and the radio, other forms of media. And everyone in America knew what was going on. They did a lot to help it. In the international response, that many other nations, they also called it a genocide. Today, more than 20 countries have said that yes, it was a genocide, while Turkey, on the other hand, continues to cover it up and say that it never happened and that it wasn't a genocide, which creates problems today. International Court held court to find guilty members of the Ottoman Empire of war crimes, including genocide, and they convicted a few. But most of the help for Armenia came from America. There have been attempts today that still go on today to bring people to justice for the genocide, but the main problem with this is that the government of Turkey, which the Ottoman Empire kind of became, they said that it never really happened, that it wasn't a genocide, that they killed them for, it happened in war. They said it wasn't a genocide, that they just died. They weren't trying to kill people. And when the perpetrators say that it's not a genocide, then you can't really come to terms and make things better or bring people to justice, because they deny on all counts, and they always have, that it was a genocide. And they even spend lots of money every year on propaganda to inform the world that it wasn't a genocide, even though a lot of countries in the world believe it was. And there are still problems going on today. Yeah. So there are still problems going on today with people saying it didn't happen. And then, this was almost 100 years ago, but still today, in just 2007, just 3 years ago, an Armenian Turkish journalist named Hrant Dink, he was murdered because of the genocide. Still 100 years later.
And then, so this is where the problems come in today, because the Ottoman Empire, they strongly deny that there was ever a genocide. They don't believe that it ever happened. To cover up their tracks, they burned the bodies of the Armenians that they killed, and this was so they could cover up their tracks, somewhat like the Holocaust. They also burned the bodies. And then the survivors were forced into exile, and they've never been able to return to their home country. So they've been forced to live and start a new life and make a new life in a totally different country. Again, and they deny it. And the few Armenians that are still alive, they want justice for what had happened to them and what had happened to their families and their friends, and all the Armenians and all the Greeks and everyone who wasn't Muslim. Is this the end? Well, the genocide ended for the most part in the Battle of Sadarabad.
Yep. Oh, where in the battle, Armenians, the Turkish army was coming into their country with the goal of obviously trying to exterminate them, but the Armenians managed to hold off the Turkish army and repel them from their country, which prevented them from marching into Armenia and continuing the extermination of Armenians, so that is considered the end of the genocide as far as the killings go, because with that repel of the Turkish army, they prevented them from killing more Armenians. But the Turkish people still say it never happened, so while the killings have ended, the story of it hasn't, because this guy, Hrant Dink, who I mentioned before, he was a journalist who he spent his whole life while he was still alive trying to get Turkey to admit that there was indeed a genocide. He was a small Armenian. He lived in Turkey. He was a small population of Armenians living in Turkey, and he spent, like I said, a ton of his time trying to say that yes, the genocide happened. And in 2007, a couple weeks after he was interviewed for this movie about genocide called Screamers, where he interviewed Turkish and Armenians about the denial of the Armenian genocide, which he was in. And a couple weeks after that, a 17-year-old Turkish teenager shot and killed him, and a photo was released which showed the police who arrested him, the guy who killed Dink, smiling and holding up the Turkish flag, which shows that a lot of people didn't like this guy and that they say the genocide never happened. And this just proves that problems still exist today. And at his death, more than 200,000 people marched in protest of his assassination and against the problems that the two countries still face. See, that's the picture. See the guy on the left. The guy in the middle is the guy who shot him, and the guy on the left is a cop, and you can see him smiling. This is shortly after he was arrested.
He's a cop. I know that's a
Yeah.
Look at your glass.
Yeah.
The guy.
You videoed me guys too. Why not? Ooh, video. Someone's.
You don't have to record the video. You don't have to record the video.
You're still on video.
So what are you guys showing us?
What are you guys showing us? Good one.
Guys, they're not done.
This video is about the Armenian genocide. It's like survivors of it. They're telling stories about their experiences in the camp.
We're not going to watch the whole thing.
I'm not gonna watch the whole thing. Gotcha. Can I stop this?
Yeah. Yeah, you can stop it.
And why are you sleeping? Wake up. No, wait. Okay, we're done. Thank you, Armenia.
No, just watch the
Eek,
video
eek,
real quick.
eek, 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 eek. Okay.